You're listening to Last Word Radio, where you get the last word.
Welcome to the Fourth Line Podcast, part of the Alberta Podcast Network, powered by ATV. This is February the 12th, 2018, and with you today is myself, Carl, and the always wonderful Joel. Welcome back to another week, Joel.
Is it another week?
It is, yeah. Mondays, depending on the way you run your calendar, but Monday's like the start of a work week. We're here, we survived day one of work, which for some of us was much more difficult than others to get through today.
Yes.
I woke up this morning and, got ready for the day, as one does. And actually, I just found out the cause. 7:30 this morning, is about when I head out on Mondays for school. Have class, head to work after, whatever. It's going to be a normal day. It's a Monday. Just as I'm about to head out the door, the fire alarm goes off in the building.
It's not good.
So then I, help my wife get ready because she's in no way ready to go to work. Which, it was minus 30 degrees outside. So, you can't just walk out in sweatpants.
Wait. Whoa. Did she get ready for work? Or, the fire alarm's on. Don't you just, put on the closest clothes possible and go out the door? Because there might be a fire.
One would think, but it was surprisingly quick that she put on work clothes. So
okay,
yeah, and so while she was doing that, I gathered up the rest of the things she needed for the day, and then about within a minute of the alarm starting, which when the alarm is going off, a minute is an incredibly long time. When you're is there an actual fire? Turns out, I mentioned the 30 below. Turns out that the parkade, the exhaust vents froze shut. And so there was no exhausting, which also, fun fact, when you sound an alarm and say everyone get out of the building, a lot of people start their cars up. So it really just exacerbated the problem.
So instead of leaving the building in an emergency, everyone's I got to get my car out of here.
Yeah, I'm driving this sucker out. So there was a lengthy line of cars out. But anyways, that's how I started my day. Only got better from there, really. It I didn't have to climb more stairs, so that's good.
Did you also try and get the car out?
No, I took the train, which was also kind of broken. So it was a great start to the morning.
There's just so much. I'm interested about how people just don't think there's urgency. Right.
I panicked immediately, and my panic was get stuff done so we can leave.
Because it's a fire.
Right. It doesn't say, the fire alarm doesn't say, please leave this, but only slowly. Don't hurry out of the building.
Don't worry about it. It's not a fire that can go quickly. It's a very slow moving one.
Yeah.
You've got at least 10 minutes.
It's currently contained to a pot on the stove of the 7th floor, so don't worry, you're fine. But if it were to leave that pot, then you might want to hurry.
So if you this is taking a whole different turn. So let's say you burn something in the stove.
Yeah.
Sets the fire alarm off.
Yeah.
Is that the whole building now?
No, I don't believe so. No, I can confirm. And I've never, I haven't set it off in this place yet, which is a much bigger deal, but we lived in a suburban apartment at one point, and the fire alarm was going off. The weirdest part, and it didn't set off all of them. I was terrified that it would. It didn't. The one that terrified me the most, and sometimes I have a vivid imagination. I believe that things are happening that maybe aren't necessarily the cause of things. So the fire alarm went off. No, I was testing it. I was testing the fire alarm. And so I'm standing there. It's the middle of the winter, standing there, and you test it and you wait for it to beep.
Mm-hmm.
I said 1, 2, 3, and the power went out.
So you thought you took the power off of everybody?
I couldn't. The whole because there was 4 condo units in that whole thing, so hundreds of units, And I thought to myself, I was like, I can't explain how I did this. But in my head, correlation equaled causation. So I did that. That was my fault.
Interesting. So you believed that you have quite the stories about fire alarms. You caused mass chaos this morning by setting the fire alarm off. And then now you just took off blocks and blocks of people's power by trying to test your fire detector thing.
Yeah, and neither of those were actually the fire alarm going off. I know, like, you and I have collectively set off fire alarms in the past.
Yeah, but those were in houses. We're not, like, disrupting other people except your family members.
Right, exactly. It was only 2 a.m, and the only person home was my family, so.
Well, and barely. Well, just one of your family members, not all of them.
Yeah.
That's what I meant by barely. It's not like, no, that person's barely family.
Yeah, don't worry. Hey, Carl, your sister? She's adopted. It's only kind of family.
Can you imagine if this is how she found out? That'd be sad.
And I found out? Somehow this whole time you've known. My parents told you, like, hey, Joel, keep this under wraps. It's hilarious.
It's hilarious. Well, good times.
Hockey
Are you watching this game?
I have this game on. What is the current score for you?
2-0 right now.
Okay, cool. So I'm a little ahead of you because you asked me that as Wamjina scored his second of the game.
What a beaut.
Yeah, so we've got...
The only thing with that is it's just going to make it that much sadder when we lose. Because now we're up by 2.
That's quitter talk right there.
The Steven Stamkoses are really good.
They are quite good. Before we get into what was a busy week of hockey and a busy show that we have for you, let's remind everyone about the fine folks at ATB. We already mentioned that they are the supporters of the Alberta Podcast Network, who are our family. They are part of us. ATB Financial. Head over to atb.com/listens, and you can find out some of the things that ATB can do for you. They want to know how they can help you, so head over there, talk to them, and they'll talk back. It's very nice. So, Joel, we've got, for those listening, tuning in tomorrow, later this week, Joel might be distracted because it seems like there is an inordinate amount of Leafs games on Monday nights. Is that correct?
Yeah. I was thinking that today too. I was like, poor Carl. He has to just, like, every Monday night it feels like there, because I'm pretty sure there's a Leafs game next Monday as well.
Well, because I think what happens is they play Saturday night and then they play Monday. Yeah, Joel's not going to be on the show next week. So we will have, I don't know, we'll put something else on the old TV. We have
potentially ever. This might be my last show.
Maybe. We'll see how next week goes.
Yeah.
But we've got a great guest host. Do we want to keep that a secret or tell people who's going to fill in? All right. Tune in next week and you'll see who's filling in for Joel. So yeah, maybe the fact this week you were accused of not letting me talk about the Avalanche, and maybe it just seems like that because there's always a Leafs game on, so like they always make a mention. There's never an Avs game on. Literally the only time that we've watched an Avs game on a Monday was when they played the Leafs.
Right. I would like to point out to whoever said that, go back and look at how many episodes in the last year are titled after Colorado Avalanches, and go back and look at how many are titled after Toronto Maple Leafs.
That is primarily because, like, I can't just name everyone after Austin Matthews.
That's not even true.
Like,
go back and listen to the weeks during that 13 or 18 game win streak.
It was only 10.
Well, it was a lot, and we had an avalanche of emotion like 7 times during that.
Yeah, I know I certainly did.
It's collective.
Okay. Yeah. Well, anyways, that's why it seems like that. But we're not going to spend too much time on the Leafs this week. We've got a lot to do. This is your friendly reminder that if the NHL was going to the Olympics, there would not be a hockey game on right now. They'd be getting ready to head over to Pyeongchang.
They probably wouldn't actually be there yet, because usually the Olympic, like the hockey team, because of the NHL, they don't get the opening ceremonies, right?
Right, exactly. But I think they'd probably be heading over shortly. Like I would say,
because they play Wednesday.
They get fired up on Wednesday, yeah.
So they're probably heading over there today. Saturday would have been the last day of games.
Right.
At us being schedulers.
Yeah.
Batman, you could hire us next time you want to go to the Olympics.
Please do. So we're gonna touch on that a little later. Some Elimination Station. I think we might eliminate 2 teams this week. And
awful teams left.
There's some teams left, and we want to say this is a sign of how bad you are. We're knocking out both of you this week. So before we get to that, the Ottawa Senators, speaking of terrible hockey teams, they did a few things this week of note. One was the president of the team resigned. One, the general manager of the team re-signed. So we've got an extension to the general manager, a quitting from the president, and a suspension.
I applaud all of these things as a Leafs fan.
As you would. It seems like is this the 3rd week in a row we've talked about someone being or should be suspended?
Oh, we talk about it a lot.
It seems like there's a run of it right now. The latest, there was 2 suspensions handed out this week. Alex Burrows got a 10-game suspension. Dustin Brown, a big old 1 game.
So I think that 1 game, if it had been pretty much anybody else, they wouldn't have got suspended probably. Yeah,
and for me, I look at that and I'm 1 game, 1 regular season game is pointless. It makes you a repeat offender, and that's literally it. It's so that the next time you do something, they can more easily throw the book at you. But that's all.
Which isn't a problem for Dustin Brown, because just all the books are thrown at him.
Yeah, he has a library tossed at him.
So, okay, let's talk about the meat of the one, though. The meat of the topic, not the meat of the one. That's weird. I don't know what the meat of the one is. Meat of this discussion is 10 games for Mr. Burrows.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
I was actually surprised that they were as aggressive with him as they were.
But they were as aggressive with him as he was with Taylor Hall.
Right, exactly. So,
maybe not quite as much.
If you haven't seen it, go back and take a look. It's very easy to find. If you missed it, after a fairly innocuous, a clean hit, but Burrows doesn't like it when someone touches him. Gets a little fired up. So he comes at Taylor Hall and jumps him, lays on him, and then just repeatedly knees him in the head. While he's just kicking his legs like he's trying to swim.
Repeated knees him in the head. He only did it twice. So it's not repeatedly. Wouldn't that be more than 2?
Isn't repeated? He repeated it. Yeah.
So repeatedly? I don't know. You're the teacher.
I'm not a teacher yet. And
you're an English teacher, right?
No. I might end up teaching English, yeah. But I would look it up in the old dictionary. I don't know if we would have to get caught up in the nuance of repeated versus repeatedly, what number that is. I know a couple is 2 and a few is more than 2.
I have definitely used a couple for more than 2.
Interesting. Bold choice. So yes, there was repeated knees to the head. There was 2. There was a couple knees to the head. How do you like that?
That could mean 3.
Nope.
Okay, fine. 2 knees to the head, several blows to the body and the face with a glove.
Yeah.
Which was formed like a fist.
Yep.
An angry Mr. Alex Burrows.
I'm fine with it. 10 games, I like it. He's a terrible part of the game.
I would have been okay with more. I would not have been okay with less, I don't think.
I would have been, yeah, this is the least amount of games that I wouldn't be more NHL Department of Player Safety being idiots.
I was surprised. That's the biggest thing about it, is I'm surprised about how much he got.
Right.
Not because he he definitely deserves that much. But I'm just surprised because I was just I didn't think they had it in them to give him more that many.
Can I say confident? I say it confidently. Let's see if you can support it. The NHL Department of Player Safety repeatedly gives out less games than they should.
Yeah, that's right. You said it right that time.
Okay, thank you.
Well done.
Yeah, I try.
just in case you're wondering, we are having the Fourth Line English edition coming out next month, where we teach grammar and how to use punctuation correctly. It's part of our new education series.
Well, our Patreon episode's coming out on Thursday. We could just make it the Patreon education episode. I think everyone would really enjoy that.
I don't think so. I think it needs to be like somewhere in the deep, darkest parts of Reddit that can barely be found.
Okay, that's fine.
Until we hone our craft.
That works. We can do that. So where were we? Burrows.
I don't know.
We're both fine with it, right?
Yeah, I'm fine. Are you fine with the re-signing of the GM?
No, that's a terrible idea. Why
is that bad?
Because Pierre Dorion is terrible at his job.
I don't know. I was thinking about this deep and long and great, and
you were repeatedly thinking about it.
Yeah, all the time. Remember that time that they traded Kyle Turris and a bunch of stuff for Matt Duchene?
Yeah, I remember that vividly.
That was worth being re-signed alone, right there. And then also, when he went out and a division rival, like legit rival, was like, hey, we have this really bad contract. Can you take it from us for nothing? Sure. We'd love Dion Phaneuf. And just, boom, there it is. These are all, I don't even know if it's the same GM that did that. I hope it is. Did this guy trade for Dion Phaneuf?
We'll confirm.
On this? Our intern is working on this. Hey, yeah. Sammy, can you get us some info on this? Oh yeah, big news. Sammy, new intern on the show, but we don't give him a mic.
Yeah, that's fine.
He can't so I felt those trades were great. Also, I don't know. I can't think of anything else.
That's allowed.
Remember when they haven't traded Erik Karlsson, and then he is going to, like, I don't know, disappear for nothing next year?
Yeah, that's bad. The moves made are confusing and terrible. I don't understand. Like, at the very least, I'm glad that they have decided the direction they're going, because you want to know, like, okay, this is the direction we're taking this team into the future, right? Like, this is the guy who's going to do it. I do not trust that he actually is good enough to do it. So yeah, congratulations to Leafs fans for having this guy running your quote unquote rival. I guess that is you are their rival. It's like the Blue Jays and everyone else. Like, they think they're rivals, but they're actually not.
I don't know. The Leafs and Senators have had some. I guess like they used to be rivals.
Yeah, I guess they still are. You still hate them, so that counts.
Battle of Ontario. It's just like the Flames and Oilers. They're always going to be rivals. When was the last time they've played in the playoffs?
Yeah, a ways.
Since Steve Smith.
Long time ago. So some more general manager-y news.
Did the Habs keep re-sign Bergeron?
They didn't fire him.
Oh, that's great news.
Yeah, so everything's coming up Joel this week, as you know, his two biggest rivals make some terrible general manager news. No, what did happen was the New York Rangers, not a rival of the Toronto Maple Leafs.
True, we own them. We just own them. They're not a rival.
You're just better than them. They're on the outskirts of the playoffs presently, and they're trying to decide: do we buy? Do we sell? The president of the team and the general manager, Glen Sather, Jeff Gorton, not to be confused with former NASCAR driver Jeff Gordon.
Is that always say his name?
Well, because one of them is with a T and one of them is with a D. So I would always get them confused. I was like, what is happening right now? Anyways, they wrote a letter, which I appreciated the honesty and openness that they had. Part of it, they say, as you know, since the 2005-06 season, we've had a highly competitive team. They list their accolades, making the Cup Finals, Conference Finals 3 times. And then they say, As we approach the trade deadline later this month and into the summer, we will be focused on adding young, competitive players that combine speed, skill, and character. This may mean we lose some familiar faces, guys we all care about and respect. While this is part of the game, it's never easy. Our promise to you is that our plans will be guided by our singular commitment, ensuring we are building the foundation for our next Stanley Cup contender. It's very rare to see a team be so open with the fact that, like, hey, we're not going to try for this year. Like, this is it. We're done. We're rebuilding. We're going to try to make this happen again. And what makes it, a little bit more interesting is, you have Henrik Lundqvist, who has been the staple of this team. He's the reason that they have made the Stanley Cup Finals, won 129 playoff games. Without him, none of this happens. Who is nearing the end of his career, but still has, a number of years left on his contract there in New York. And you're saying, well, we're calling it on this. Is there any way that they can, like, I look at this and I'm like, well, like, is he going to be the guy still when you make round 2, when this rebuild reboots itself?
No.
Or are you going to have to then go find a goaltender? Because he still has 3 more years after this. And the core of this team, depending on how much they blow it up, right? They traded Derek Stepan for the number 7 overall pick last year. So that really started. I think you could see they were willing to realize the fact that they needed to move some pieces out. So you're looking at this, Rick Nash, he's going to be gone next year for sure, probably traded at the deadline coming up here. You've got guys, Michael Grabner, another free agent piece that's going to be traded. Big talk about them trading Ryan McDonough, current captain, 1 year left on his deal. Mark Stahl, his name's been moved around.
They'll move like 2 of these guys.
Well,
that's about it.
Like, if they don't move, if you write this letter and then don't move Rick Nash for something, you've made a huge, right? Like, Rick Nash has to go at this point.
Well, but you have to remember, like, it's really difficult to actually, make trades in the NHL. So, as much as I appreciate their honesty, they're not going to blow this team up the way they need to. It's not going to be like a Cleveland Cavalier type, just complete roster overhaul.
Right. Oh,
like,
for sure.
Not gonna, you can't do that in the NHL. It doesn't work. So, can I also just say, like, any GM, because they came out and said this because, like, everyone was like, are they buyers or are they sellers, right? I just like to point out that any GM in the NHL that buys when they are not in a playoff spot should get fired on the spot. Like, that is a fireable offense.
You don't think that there's something worth trying to get into a playoff spot?
No. If you're not good enough to be in the playoffs, 1 guy or 2 guys isn't going to make you a cup contender. And I'm not saying buy as in the sense you get a good, like, so say, like, because you start thinking, like, where does, like, Henrik Lundqvist go? Like, so if, like, let's say the Calgary Flames all of a sudden were like, hey, we know Mike Smith's not our answer as good as he's been, but we're going to go out and bring in Lundqvist. I'd be okay with that. I don't know, like, are they in a playoff spot? I don't actually know. I don't think so. And so, but, like, I wouldn't be...
They most certainly are, by the way.
They are?
Yeah.
Oh, look at them being good. I knew they were good lately, but, like, let's say they weren't. Let's say they were 9th and they went out and got a Lundqvist who's got a few years left on his deal. Like, to me, that's not a buy. I'm talking, like, using assets to make your team older and get rental type players, right?
So let's, like, if you went out, if currently Anaheim Duck, or let's pick my Colorado Avalanche. They're currently 2 points back of the Minnesota Wild for the wild card spot. If they went out and traded for Rick Nash, you think that is
fireable? Absolutely.
Foolish.
Absolutely. I think that's a total mistake. You don't?
I think it depends on the situation. So if you're a team at the end of a cycle and you do this move, right? You pick someone up at the end of your time, then yes, I think that's a terrible idea. So, like, for example, if the Chicago Blackhawks or the New York Rangers, if the New York Rangers had said, you know what, we're going to make this run, we're going for it, we're going to give Henrik Lundqvist one last kick at the can.
We're not in a playoff spot. We're hoping to get there.
Right. We're currently sitting, they're 2 points back. They're the exact same amount of points back as the Avalanche are right now. So that they say, we're going to go pick up Evander Kane
and Mike Green. They say they pick up both of those guys.
I think that is a terrible idea because you have mortgaged that future. If the Toronto Maple Leafs, on the other hand, are sitting out of a playoff spot right now, if they were sitting 2 points back and they said, we're going to go and pick up a piece, I don't think that's bad because they have a lot of what they need right now. And they're a lot of their pieces are set into the future. So I think it's the different situations, I think I'm okay with.
Yeah, I don't know. I still don't even. I would rather see younger teams. I just think the odds of winning the cup are so low if you're not in the playoffs at this point. But I guess all this to say, we're both very much on board with what New York's doing.
Oh,
and
for sure.
Seriously, they should. Anyone who's on an expiring deal, they should take the Shanna plan and get anything. Fourth round picks, even if that's all you get because that's all someone's willing to give you, do it. Trade Grabner should get you more than that, but I don't know how much. You really think McDonough's going to get you very much? I can't see any team that picks up anything for him. I would be a little hesitant about.
I would see someone giving up because, you try to sell them on the veteran presence, and someone's going to overpay for a captain. Joel, do you know the leadership that guy brings?
Oh,
they'll be all aboard that leadership.
All aboard the McDonough train. That is seriously. So he's got 1 year left, so he's in the same place as Carlson. So
let's not put
no. I'm just saying contract wise.
Okay,
I wasn't making that comparison. Settle down there, cowboy. I was just saying if you went out and gave up a second round pick and a low A to high B prospect for him, you're happy about that?
Not really.
Yeah,
but I wouldn't be happy, but I wouldn't be upset.
I'd be pretty sad.
I think that's a reasonable price.
Look at me. See, I should be a GM.
You should just set in price. Well, we'll see how impressive you are here shortly.
Impressive.
So, what?
Just speechless.
Yeah,
I'm just utterly speechless by my awesomeness.
It's true, Joel. We're putting 2 teams in the Elimination Station. Let's do it. Let's go there.
Elimination Station.
Since we're doing 2 teams,
yeah,
I'm just gonna blindly let you decide. Which team you are eliminating first. You get a team this week. I get a team this week. You know what team it almost was?
It's going to be the team that I'm choosing. If you're letting me blindly choose now, I'm not. I'm going off the board.
The team that I almost picked, and there's a few teams that I will fight you on if you pick them. But the team that I was going to pick, if they had a loss yesterday, my Colorado Avalanche, they are only 2 points out of a playoff spot. But if they had lost to the Buffalo Sabres yesterday, the day after Jack Eichel is essentially out for the rest of the season, that's embarrassing. The fact that it was 5-4 is a little embarrassing. They had no one good in that game. It was the Buffalo Sabres without their only good player, which this is, by the way, second high ankle sprain for Jack Eichel back-to-back seasons.
Maybe you should wear an ankle brace.
Maybe you should wear an ankle brace. Maybe. I know people get very sensitive when we accuse players of being injury prone.
Do they really? Is that a thing?
I think so, yeah. If you get the same injury in back-to-back years, you're injury prone. I don't care what it is. You're doing something wrong.
I don't think anyone's defending Jack Eichel on this one.
I just wanted to come out extra defensive on it.
Okay.
Okay, who do you pick?
I choose the Calgary. I'm just kidding. I'm not going to choose a team in playoff spots. Let's get rid of the Blackhawks. Let's get rid of Chicago. No longer runs on Duncan. It's over.
The Chicago Blackhawk train has finally left the station, pulled into the station. What does that train do?
I don't know. They're in your bottom tier. You know, you're I think it was 2 weeks ago. You were talking about the tiers and all all that stuff, they would be in one of those more bottom tiers.
They have definitely fallen into that bottom tier for sure. They are, they're sitting currently a whopping 10 points back of the playoffs with like every team to climb, especially in that Central Division. So in the Central Division, that division is just crazy tough this season. The worst team is the Blackhawks at 56 points, which says a lot about it. Because I think if you look at every other division, there's at least one dud of a team, right? You've got Florida, you've got the entire Atlantic Division,
and Chicago,
and the Pacific, and the Central Division has Chicago. So they're the whipping boys right now. And so you picked them, Joel. We'll let you start. What do you do to fix the Chicago Blackhawks?
Okay, well, if you're thinking that Ryan McDonough has leadership for days and is going to get you stuff, Johnny Taves, you're out the door. I would trade Jonathan Taves. I wouldn't trade Patrick Kane, but I would trade Jonathan Taves. He's got 5 years left at 10.5. You trade him, and you get something good. You're going to get something good for Jonathan Taves.
Oh, for sure. So, but I support it from the hockey side, right? Like I say, like if you trade Jonathan Taves, you are making the best move for the future of your hockey team. I get that. How?
And in cap-wise.
Also that. How do you sell the fans in Chicago on trading Jonathan Taves? Because that's the hard part, is not making every fan hate you. How do you do it?
You put those Stanley Cup rings on the podium when you trade him, and you say, you want more of these? We got to trade him. We thank you for your service, Mr. Jonathan Taves. The other thing that you do is you pick up a guy I'm starting to really come around on the Anthony Duclair move. Like, that's a good little deal. Like, you pick up a flyer. He's an RFA. Doesn't work. I don't think they gave up a lot for him.
No, most certainly not.
So you do that, and then the other basically, is everyone but Patrick Kane and maybe Brandon Saad, because Brandon Saad's having himself quite a year.
Yeah, as bad as it looks trading Panarin, Brandon Saad, sneaky good.
Yeah, they both had. So I would try Seabrook, Keith, Taves, Crawford.
Not Corey Crawford.
Is Corey Crawford injured?
Corey Crawford is in. Yeah, Corey Crawford is. If you have a healthy Corey Crawford, this team is in a playoff spot.
I don't know about that.
I do.
Okay. Well, I'm willing to trade any of those guys.
Okay. I'm not willing to trade Corey Crawford. You know how I feel about Duncan Keith. I keep him around because Duncan Keith's cap hit is not a hindrance to you.
But he's old. He's going to be like 40.
Sure. You keep him around. He ends up on Marion Hossa Island. You keep him around because it doesn't cost, like Brent Seabrook, you are paying him $6.875. That was we knew it as soon as it happened. That is a terrible contract. Duncan Keith, however, not terrible. It still has a lot of years left on it. 5 more after this year. But he's still good. And I think you need someone, right? You have to get to that cap floor somehow.
No, I trade as many of these guys as possible. I know you cannot talk clearly about Duncan Keith. You just love him way too much. Think of the assets you can get for Keith. If you traded Keith and Taves, think of what you would get for them. And then all of a sudden, you're not in purgatory with your cap space. Trade Corey Crawford. Trade everybody.
But then, so if you're trading everyone, why are you keeping Patrick Kane?
That guy's great. He's like next level.
He is, but he has 5 years left on his deal.
Yeah, but he can play he's good enough that if they get good assets for the other guys, he's still going to be good when they turn this ship around. When this ship gets turned around, this is how I look at it. He would literally be, if you follow the Joel plan for this franchise, you have everyone gone. Patrick Kane becomes the Phil Kessel in Toronto.
when they said, we are terrible, we have nothing, and we are going to move out Phil Kessel for some assets. Because they had pieces. They did not need to move Phil Kessel. Now, granted, good asset management, they managed to turn that into Freddie Anderson, who Leafs Twitter, we talked about him last week, the comparisons between him and John Gibson, and I have greatly enjoyed watching everyone this week after we were like, yeah, like Joel tried to be as unbiased as possible. I said I'd rather John Gibson, and now everyone's talking about Freddie for Vezina. I don't know what's happening.
I don't know, but this year absolutely you'd rather Freddie, but because Gibson's not winning. But we basically came down to age,
right? Anyways, I forget what my point. My point is that Patrick Kane becomes that piece where you're like, you've just got him hanging out.
Yeah. All right. So you don't break this team apart.
I don't blow it up. No.
You don't trade anybody.
I trade some pieces. I trade Anisimov.
Yeah.
I trade, which like
those are minor moves, man.
They're minor moves that they can get away with doing though. Like you need to do something. You need to bring in some defensemen. You need a healthy Corey Crawford. So mail in him for the rest of the year. They're not that far off from still being, if they can find a way to add someone else on defense so that they can get away with the fact that Brent Seabrook is going to be a boat anchor for them for the rest of the way, or if they can manage to if they can trick anyone into taking him, you do that. I don't think you need to blow this team up as much as you do. So, is that a direction that I could support them doing? Yes. But that's fine. All right, Joel, is it my turn to pick a team?
Blindly, you can choose whoever you want.
All right,
you choose the Leafs, I will laugh at you.
I pick the Edmonton Oilers.
Oh, yeah. They need I support this decision.
They are a team long overdue for being in the Elimination Station. This is a team was great last year, terrible this year. Cam Talbot having a miserable season after having a good season last year. Let's start there. Do you think that which Cam Talbot is the real Cam Talbot?
Probably somewhere in between, like always. Like, it's neither of them, right?
Right. It's probably just like an average goaltender.
Yeah, he wasn't as good. He wasn't as good as last year, but he's not as bad as this year.
Yeah. And you have a little bit better goaltending. That's not enough to get this team back to the playoffs. Cam Talbot, as bad as he has been, is not the sole reason this team is terrible.
No, this team is terrible. I don't know. I don't know why it's so bad. Like, well, it's partly bad because they traded Eberle for Ryan Strome.
Right.
When they didn't need to for cap reasons.
There was literally no reason for them to do that.
Other than to shake things up. Which I'm fine with that, but make a better trade.
But you don't need to shake up a team that just made it deep into the playoffs. You don't need a team primed to win the division. You don't need to shake that up. Just leave it. Just leave it be. The over-tinkering is something you rarely see someone do in the NHL because no one can make a trade.
And they
Peter Chiarelli can. Because you never don't answer his phone calls.
What do? You don't. This team doesn't sign Chris Russell to 4x4.
So you invest heavily in a time machine.
You don't sign. I get like Draisaitl's having a fine season, good season again. Like, but I can't imagine that contract's going to go well still, though. Like, sure, he's having a better season than I probably thought he was going to. I will admit that. But I still don't think he's going to be that great long term. I don't know. I'd be interested to know what his fancy stats say. But his like goals and assists, he's almost got 50 points. So that's not bad.
His fancy stats, since you're curious, say that he is having a fairly serviceable season for sure.
So you're fine, whatever. But you don't I don't know what you do with this team. I don't really want to spend a whole lot of time talking about this Which is just because it's just sad.
Which
And they're
you
not
don't,
good.
you don't make more trades. You don't, Peter Trelli, stop it.
You
do not
fire him. That's what you do.
You do that because, like, there was an article, and obviously this was not it. There was an article on The Athletic today. I don't know if you read it, Joel. On do the Edmonton Oilers trade Leon Draisaitl? Should they trade Leon Draisaitl?
Yes.
The answer to that is a hard no. You don't let Peter Chiarelli
Right.
make that trade.
If you're going to trade him, you fire Chiarelli, which you got to think is coming. You got to think if the Oilers don't make the playoffs, which they're not going to, you got to think he's fired, right?
Yeah, in the history of the Elimination Station, no one has been eliminated here and made the playoffs. So the Oilers are done.
Yeah.
But you also don't let him get through the trade deadline. That's what I don't get. If he's going to not be there at the end of the season, if you're like, all right, at the end of the year, you're gone, don't let him dictate your future now.
Because
Don't let him touch your like, if you're going to fire your security guard, you don't say, like, we're going to fire you for stealing because you've been stealing stuff from the store later this month. We're going to let you finish off the month. We know you've been stealing, but we trust that you'll be better with your stealing.
I love how you're equating Peter Chiarelli trades to theft.
I think he's been stealing joy from everyone in Edmonton. I think that's what's been happening. So it's accurate.
What about, like, because, like, if Chiarelli's probably going to end up, like, trading Larson for Jordan Eberle or something like that.
I swear, if he trades Adam Larson, oh my goodness.
Could you imagine if he goes and trades, I don't know who, like, the equivalent of Jordan Eberle is, but let's say he goes and trades Larson
if he trades
for that equivalent.
If he trades Adam Larson for JVR on, like, an expiring deal, because he's like, well, we need a winger. I've got all these defensemen now. What do I do?
Can we please do that? Can we? Like, I love me some JVR, but can we please do that?
Yeah, you love that deal.
This is so. Anyways, whatever. They're not making the playoffs this year. They're probably not making the playoffs next year.
This is another team that, as long as you have Connor McDavid, you're not that far off, but this team's pretty far off.
They're farther than you think.
They need to add some depth scoring, and that's about it. So if they could trade a Ryan Strome for, like, a Jordan Eberle type, that'd be nice. Joel, as we mentioned, the NHL should not be playing right now. They should be at the Olympics. But we have, thanks to Mike Laybourne, a wonderful writer for the fourthlinepodcast.com, he has provided us with, and you can head there. He didn't just make it for us. He made it for you. A list of every former NHL player in the Olympics. So there's not NHL players in the Olympics. But if you go to the fourthlinepodcast.com, there's an article with a lovely picture of Pavel Datsyuk. Article titled Former NHLers at the Olympics. It's very self-explanatory. So you go there and you'll find out everyone who's played for your former teams who is now in the Olympics. So what we're going to do, Joel, is we are going to see how well you know the former NHL players at the Olympics. So you took a look at this list earlier today and you said, a fair number of these names are recognizable to you.
Yeah.
And so we're not going to pick players that have played only a handful of games, right? Yeah. If we don't know who they are, we're not going to pick them.
Okay.
But we're going to play a little over under with some of these players. So we're going to say, over under games, goals. We're talking career statistics. These are guys whose careers in the NHL are likely done. I saw some talk today that there's some rumors, some rumblings, maybe some wishful thinking that Brian Gionta and James Wisniewski might make an attempt to go back into the NHL after this. Don't see that happening. So most of these guys, their NHL careers are over. But we're gonna look at it.
Let's do it.
Feel free to play along at home. Let us know how you do on this game of NHL Olympic over under. First off, Joel, let's start with Mr. James Wisniewski.
Mm-hmm.
He's had a long career. Played for the Hawks, Ducks, Habs, Islanders, Jackets, and the Hurricanes.
A lot of teams.
What I should have done was the over-under on how many teams James Wisniewski has played for. But instead, we are doing the over-under of career goals for Mr. James Wisniewski. Over, under. He has played in 11 NHL seasons. Over, under 60 goals for James Wisniewski.
Oh, he's a defenseman. That's a hard under.
That is a point for Joel.
Yeah, it is.
I just need to write a scoreboard so that we have all right, there you go. 53 goals for James Wisniewski. Just snuck under that. Pavel Datsyuk, he's in the Olympics. Heard of him?
I don't think so, but go ahead anyways.
Okay. He's good. He has a total of 314 goals in his career.
Ooh.
Over under 100 power play goals.
100 power play goals. That would be a third of his goals.
That is correct. Are a third of his goals on the power play.
Under.
It is 97. So you're right.
Booyah.
Pavel Datsyuk, just under a quarter or a third of his goals came to
All right. Hit me with another. Let's do this.
All right, Joel's 2-0. We're getting harder here.
Okay.
Jonas Hiller.
Oh, I've heard of him.
He's playing in
Anaheim Ducks goalie.
Yeah. He
Yeah.
once upon a time, he's playing his first team Switzerland. Last seen in Calgary. Over under playoff wins for Jonas Hiller 24.
I don't know. That's a tough one. Because how many seasons would he wouldn't have played any playoff games with the Flames? It's a hard no. Playoff wins or games?
I said wins.
I go under.
I said wins. The stat that I originally read off was games that I based my over-under on.
So I'm definitely right then.
You are definitely right.
I was like, that's why I was thrown off. Because when you first said that, I was like, oh, that's for sure under. And then I was like, wait a second. If he's asking that, that was almost a trick question. 3-0. I don't even care that you got it wrong.
Yeah. The answer to that is 15. He did play 7 games for the Calgary Flames in the playoffs, however.
Really?
Really, really.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's true. All right, Joel. Martin Erat. He is...
Forsberg.
He was traded...
Is that really weird?
He was traded for Philip Forsberg.
Yeah.
How many goals did Martin Erat have for the Washington Capitals after being traded from the Nashville Predators to the Washington Capitals for Philip Forsberg? Over under 5.
He was miserable. Like, this is arguably the worst. Not arguably. I think this is probably like the worst trade ever.
It's a solid possible. He played for... He did play over 2 seasons.
Over 2 seasons, but you're not going to tell me how many games, are you?
62 games.
62 games, and he would have... Did you... See, now this is like the mind games. Did you switch to the over finally? Because every question's been under. He was miserable, though. I'm going to go under. I think it's probably like 4.
It is 2.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm so good at this game. Former Olympic players or NHL players, current Olympic players.
Yeah, former NHLers, current Olympians. All right, so you're
That's
4-0.
the only thing I've gotten wrong this whole time.
And the fact that Jonas Hiller did not play for Calgary in the Olympics. All right, Joel, we're going to the rest of this is all former Toronto Maple Leafs.
Oh, no.
So we're starting with Benjamin Scrivens.
Yep. Know him. He played for the Leafs,
Yep.
Kings, and the Oilers.
That's a fact. He did play for the Leafs, Kings, Oilers, also the Montreal Canadiens.
Yeah.
Do you have his Hockey DB page open right now? Is that how you know this?
I liked Ben Scrivens.
Yeah, I also like Ben Scrivens. Here is the question, Joel.
Do you want me to pull his DB page open?
No, please don't. That would really skew the results on this.
Okay.
Ben Scrivens, with your Toronto Maple Leafs, how many... So he played 32 games.
With the Leafs, that's it?
With the Leafs. That is it. Not counting the playoffs with the Toronto Marlies.
Okay.
We're also not counting regular season with the Marlies.
Yeah.
Toronto Maple Leafs.
Mm-hmm.
32 games.
Mm-hmm.
How many shutouts did he have? Over, under 3.
It's probably... If you had asked me before you said 3, if you had just been like, how many shutouts did Ben Scrivens have with the Toronto Maple Leafs? I didn't even know how many games he played. I would have said 0. Because that's how bad the Leafs were when Ben Scrivens. I'm sticking with my gut. I was gonna say 0. I'm sticking with 0.
It is 2.
Oh, that's still a win though, right?
That's still a win. All you had to say was over or under. Okay. Similar question.
Fire.
Similar question, Joel.
Yeah.
Jonas Enroth, another former Toronto goaltender.
Terrible as a Toronto goaltender.
Yeah, he only played 6 games and it did not go well for him.
Yeah.
He played 153 career games.
Mm-hmm.
118 of those were with the Buffalo Sabres.
Wouldn't have guessed that.
Over under 35 wins for Jonas Enroth.
For the Sabres.
For the Sabres.
In 118 games.
Yeah.
That is... If it's under, that is awful. That's like about as bad as you can get. I've been rolling with under, though, and I've been doing really well. So when does Carl make the shift? 36 wins in 118 games is still really bad.
Yeah.
I'm going to go over.
It's over. He had he had 38 wins.
That is terrible. He is so bad. I feel bad for him. He's probably not as bad of a goalie. He just played on awful, awful teams.
Okay, I really want to keep going until I stump you, but we might be here all night. Apparently, either Joel is I'm very curious to know how everyone else has been doing, because either I'm making these way too easy, or Joel is great. I need your help, listeners.
I believe we had a conversation about how great I was earlier today.
I think you had a conversation telling me how great you are at these types of games earlier today.
And am I wrong?
You've been more wrong about other things in the past. Joel,
So are we going to have like a Stump the Schwab?
we might have to.
Am I the like hockey Schwab?
You're definitely the Schwab on this podcast. I would be miserable at this game. That's 100% sure. Joel.
The best thing is do I know these things or am I just guessing?
Yeah, I don't even know. Okay, here we go. Last question. We wanted to do a best of 7. So far, you're 6 for 6.
So I won.
So you win. You get a Fourth Line Podcast mini puck.
Nice.
I guess it's regular size puck, but it's rubbery.
Yeah.
Okay, here you go. Mason Raymond.
Ooh. Former Toronto Maple Leaf.
I know, I told you. The rest of these were former Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah.
He played 2 seasons where he played all 82 games. One of those seasons was with your Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah.
That was the 2013-2014 season. In that season, Mason Raymond over under 7th in Toronto Maple Leafs scoring.
Over.
So over would mean
You 1 through 6.
1 through 6. Mason Raymond finished 5th.
Yeah. He had a
Toronto
great
Maple Leafs
season.
scoring.
He got paid by the Flames after that. 7 for 7.
Joel, congratulations. If anyone else went 7 for 7, congratulations to you as well. If everyone went 7 for 7, I might retire as the game maker or prep a lot more.
I'm pretty sure most people probably didn't. Well, it is 50-50.
It is a coin toss. So you probably, odds are, you probably finished 3 or 4. You probably finished at least 4th. I had a multiple choice test this week, and I was like, well, like worst case scenario, if I guessed at it, my odds would be that I would probably end up with like a 33%.
Right.
So like, and then there's some that you know for sure, so you take that out of it, and like the worst you can do is like a 50.
Yeah. No, I figure, most people, I would say, just on the 50-50 alone, probably got 3 or 4, right? But
and then they probably knew a couple, so they probably got 4 or 5.
I'm actually fairly confident that no one else got 7 for 7.
Well, and you know what? They can tell us that, and we'll have to believe them.
Or we could choose not to.
Or you could choose not to, which is probably going to happen. Do you want to play high sticking?
Yeah, let's do it. We need to wrap this show up here so that we can go record another show.
I was just busy throwing a fork across the room.
I like it. So does that mean I should choose Tuesday while you're cleaning up your mess?
No, that's fine. Score update for high sticking. Ken at IamKen24. He, who is Ken, is first with 8 points. Alex Gardner is slotting in 6 points in second place, and then there's just a logjam behind them. So,
Sounds good.
How this works, we pick the Pavel Bure must-watch games of the week. When that happens, you head over to the Twitters at Fourth Line Podcast and tell us one player from each team who you think is going to score the game-winning goal. Last week, Joel would not let us pick the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Tampa Bay Lightning because he figured that the Leafs would lose and it would make him sad. So, we didn't pick it tonight. We might have a game next Monday. We'll find out who the Leafs are playing when we get to Monday. But Joel's going to start on Tuesday while I pull up the score app.
Okay. We are going to go with a lot of terrible games. St. Louis, Nashville, 8 p.m. in Nashville. That's the game.
That's the game, yeah. Wednesday night, Valentine's Day, Joel.
Whoa!
There are only 3 games because the NHL said, you know what? Let's let the lovers spend some time together. If you're not hockey fans, so there's 2 games that involve terrible teams. One, Florida, Vancouver. Not that. I
just realized something.
What?
There's no rivalry game on Wednesday because of the Olympics.
True. That's why there's no good games on Wednesday. It's not
the rivalry game is not usually good.
Also that. We are going to go with. I was gonna pick the Leafs Jackets. We're going with Montreal and Colorado. That's what we're going with. Because the Leafs make appearances all the time. How often? Colorado is rare. We're going with Colorado.
Could have picked a little, like, if we were going to go Colorado this week, we could have picked, like, at least, like, Colorado versus Winnipeg on Friday. But
is that a thing? Okay, there. Colorado, Winnipeg on Friday, Columbus and Toronto on Wednesday. There you go.
Now we're both happy.
Now we both win.
Okay, so then you want to do what? You want to do, there's some, like, Jersey, Carolina for, like, who misses out by the playoffs?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
It's a wild card battle. And then Friday, the aforementioned Colorado-Winnipeg game.
And then Saturday, there's like a bunch of early games.
Because it's nighttime in Korea, so NBC is going to get all their games in. I don't even think they're going to... They're probably not showing any of these, but that's what's happening. The
Boston-Vancouver rematch.
That I don't think
8 years ago.
Is there any... Yeah, I think it's just the Sedins and...
Chara.
Well, there's a fair amount like on the Bruins left, but it's probably I can't think of anyone that really cares. Let's go. Nothing here excites me. Literally, the only one that excites me the most. Let's go Anaheim, Minnesota.
You were going to say Leafs, Penguins, weren't you?
Yeah, because I'm like, well, the game's on Saturday. All right. Sunday, February the 18th. Joel. I had know what I would pick. What would you pick? I would go Dallas, San Jose.
San Jose.
All right.
Yeah, Monday. There's no game Monday. There's no Leafs game Monday.
There's no Leafs game Monday.
But there is another Leafs Lightning game the following Monday when I'm back on the show.
When you said maybe. Are you back? Is it official?
Well, I guess it depends. We had a fight last night.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even know it was one of those. I think we've all had a fight where one person doesn't know that they're having a fight.
Yeah.
And the other person is.
I was very angry at Carl. And Tiny Mike. It was both of you. I was mad at both of you.
Yeah. And we didn't know at all.
You didn't care. That's why. That's why I'm not going to be back on the show ever again.
Oh, that's sad. Now, Joel, can we say why you won't be on the show next week?
Yeah, that's fine.
Joel finally gets to live in his own house.
Yeah, I finally get a house to live in.
And so
without other people.
That aren't your wife and son.
Yeah, they're coming with.
They are coming with you. You're not leaving them at your parents' house. That would be weird. No, what's happening is Joel is going to get me to go help him move, and then he's going to kick me out of his house and make me go record a podcast with our special guest.
But I'm going to feed you first because that's what you do.
Nice. I'm pumped.
I think we're going to make chili. It's supposed to be really cold that day.
Okay, I look forward to this. While this happens, Joel is going to be gone. We are going to play high sticking with there's a lot of afternoon games. I don't know. I guess there's probably a holiday in the States too. All this to say, Anaheim and Las Vegas. It's a late game. You can get your picks in, and our special guest will be here, so we'll do that. Joel, that's the wrap for the show. Before we before we finish.
Some people are probably saying before they finally finish.
I think those people probably hung up already. Like a phone call.
Why are they on the phone with us?
I'm not sure. We've really brought them in. No, I want to let you know. So we've been letting you know about a lot of great people, shows happening with the Alberta Podcast Network. There's now some events happening. So if you are in the Calgary area and you have said to yourself before, how do I make a podcast? Like, I know, some people who listen to the show, they've asked us how we make a podcast. They've asked us how we do it. They've launched their own. Love it. Fantastic. We support everyone. If you ever say, maybe I want to, just try it. And if you hate it, just stop. It's very simple.
The Leafs have given up their lead. It's so sad.
It's 3-2.
It's 3-3.
Okay, well, we're going to hang up before Joel gets more sad. But we will let you know that on February 25th, if you're in Calgary, there is an event going on called How to Start a Podcast from Notion to Reality. It has Megan Wilcox from Mount Royal University, Kyle Marshall from Media Lab YYC. They're hosting this event in collaboration with the Alberta Podcast Network. So you can go to albertapodcastnetwork.com/events. There's a big button that says register. You click it, you sign up, you go and you learn how to start a podcast. It's that easy. So Joel, before we wrap this sucker up, and it's the dad trip for the Lightning. That's nice. No wonder they're winning it for their dads. Also that, Joel, this is back to back sad ends of a show for Joel. Luckily, next week we'll see if our special guest host also has a sad ending. It might just be the thing where I'm happy and the other host is sad. Until next week.
Boom City.